What's up, YouTube? Now, you see the title of this video, and you see the image that I have on the screen. Now, if you hear a little noise in the background, that's probably my fan. I don't even got the shit up high, but this mic, I know, is probably picking that shit up like Superman. My mic has like Superman hearing or some shit, so it is what it is, right? But audio should be good besides that, right? But you see the title. You see the individuals I have added in this video. I will explain why I have all them added in a minute. Now, if you don't know the whole debacle that's taking place right now in these YouTube streets, Austin Holloman, I would say yesterday, as of the time of me recording this video, Austin Holloman decided to make a live stream talking about Black American men don't like African women. And at first, I wasn't going to make a response video to this. I wasn't going to talk about it. But then I thought to myself, why wouldn't I talk about this, right? Because I want to go against the narrative that's being pushed by Austin Holloman. And like I said, for the people I've added, right? Obviously, I have Austin Holloman in there. When it comes to SWP, he made a video in response to the shit yesterday, and I'm gonna be real. I just did not like the way he kind of approached the shit. This ain't no roast or nothing. That's not what this is. Just a minor disagreement, and it's really, it kind of illustrates what I'm about to go into in this video when it comes to how some of you black men out here, man, y'all just don't get. I don't know if y'all don't get the full picture, right? I'm gonna get to what I mean by that in a minute. And then I got Tito in here because he's talked about this shit. He's talked about this whole thing when it comes to Africa and whatnot, actually recently. So I decided to add him too. So here's the problem, right? Here's the issue with this whole Africa thing. Austin Holloman has said Black American men don't like African women. Now, I'm going to come from the premise that African women or Africans, especially like Kenya, East Africa, I'm not going to look at this from the position of like actually knowing what I know when it comes to genealogy, and that they're Ham, we're Shem, right? We're two distinct groups, right? So even saying you don't, quote unquote, like your own women is kind of not, accurate all the way. But we'll address this from the premise that Kenyan women or whatever, or African women in this case, are, quote unquote, are women, right? We'll just go from that premise, because I still want to illustrate why the arguments being given and the rhetoric that's being pushed is just disingenuous. And I'm sorry, I can't rock with it. So, for starters, right, Austin Holloman made his video. He talked about how Black American men, they don't like African women because, he doesn't get the same support as when he was in South America, Central America, whatever the case may be. And he wanted to tie the whole thing to, these black men, they hate themselves. They hate them. They hate being black. They hate black women, all this other nonsense, right? But see, here's the problem with that narrative. Here's the problem. And see, this is where I have a problem with people like SWP and others that I've been seeing pushing this nonsense, is that this would be something you could say if African women were not some of the biggest ghetto gaggers this planet has ever seen. I'm sorry, we're not going to get away from this. We're not going to gloss over the fact that African women are number one when it comes to white male worship. And the reason that this is extremely problematic, and it's funny because Austin Holloman, in his little live stream he briefly went over that when he was addressing the black men who were saying that, like, yeah, African women worship white men. And he tried to, he's trying to live in his delusion. I'm gonna get to that. He's an old man, they just see, white men as a money grab. And it's like, no. I know that's what you want to believe, Austin. I know. See, this video, it's gonna be some black pill in this video, man. I'm gonna drop some real black pill. If you can't handle the shit, click off the video right now, because I'm going all the way today, and I might even have to do a part 2 if I'm being honest, because there's some other stuff I really don't think I'm gonna be able to fit in this video. I don't want it to be too long, but we gonna drop some black pills. Look here. They don't. It's not all about a money grab, okay? See, like I said, African women are some of the biggest ghetto gaggers this planet has ever seen, right? Now, I know all the history when it comes to colonialism and how, the quote-unquote Eurocentric standard of beauty has been portrayed across the earth. I understand all this. That stuff we get. I get that. The boxes are checked there. I understand how this is all, how this is all why this is all the way it is. I understand all these things. I understand when it comes to everything as it pertains to that. I understand all that. But see, here's the problem. None of that, the why in this instance does not matter, right? Because at the end of the day, when Austin Holloman is trying to promote Kenyan women as an option for Black American men, and we see that African women worship white men the way they do, why the fuck would Black American men go over there to be a last option? See, this is the problem. If we have passport bros who want to leave the United States because, I don't know, maybe they're having trouble with women and they want to go and they want to get with some women that will rock with them. They want to, whatever, you got dudes that like to go overseas and they just want to start smashing, clapping cheeks. Okay, whatever. Do your thing, bro. You're not about to hear any complaints from me. That's your business, bro. But for the dudes that want to, and before I move on to that, even when it comes to the clapping cheeks thing, I mean, you want to clap the cheeks of a woman that is not seeing you as a last option. So even with the clapping cheeks thing, you want to be, you don't want to be no last option. When it comes to dudes that are even going further than that and they want to get married, why would you want to go and get married to some women who see you as a last option? And see, this is something we really have to address. No one wants to really touch on that. We want to stick on these men hate themselves, this and this and that. But the thing these dudes are saying is that these women are Brad worshipers. Why would they go to a country where the women worship Brad? And to give you an example of the extent of the Brad worship, right? There was an incident years ago where a white man named, I think his name was Mike Oliver, and the dude was dusty, bro. Dusty as hell. Dude, he looked like the type of white dude you would see on the street begging. Dusty as hell. But, to them, he's God. So he goes over there and smashing Kenyan cheeks. And it was in Kenya, too. That's the irony. He's in Kenya smashing through the villages. And dude had AIDS. And apparently some of them even knew he had AIDS. And they still slept with him. So they was risking death just to lay up with a white man. There's nothing more worshipful than that. There's nothing more self-hating than that. And Austin Holloman wants to sit up here and browbeat you Black men for not wanting to go there. He wants to tell you that you're the one that's self-hating. And see, the examples that y'all are giving is that when dudes are saying Kenyan women, they're attacking their quote-unquote beauty. See, here's the problem with that. And like I said, this video is going to have some black pills. I'm going to say some stuff that is not going to be received well. I understand. But I'm going to try to be as politically correct as possible because I'm going to delve into some murky waters. What we have to understand is that these Kenyan women are in a country that is extremely underdeveloped. So already we're dealing with a situation where they don't have access to a lot of stuff people in first world countries have. I can understand that when it comes to the beauty, right? And for the men addressing the beauty conversation, that gives them that's a point in their direction, right? If these women are not appealing, and those are one of the reasons, I don't see how them calling out the lack of beauty is showing of their self-hate, right? Because see, the show of the self-hate would be if they couldn't point out any African women, in this case Kenyan women, that were attractive. I could see, okay, well, this ain't about the women, not being attractive in this particular area, this and that. No, it doesn't matter what the woman looks like. You just don't find Kenyan women attractive in general. Then I could give y'all the self-hate label. Me personally, delving off from this for a little bit, one of the most attractive women I've ever seen was a Kenyan woman. Now, she was in the States, over here in America, but she was from Kenya. From Kenya. She had a Kenyan husband. She had some yams too, man. I was like, God damn. But one of the most attractive women I've ever seen in my life to this day. Easily 10 out of 10. Just, yeah. So if you can't, if these dudes can't, if you point to a Kenyan woman who's like just, clearly attractive, beautiful woman, and they just don't find any of them attractive, I can see that. But me personally, I've seen a attractive Kenyan woman. There's not too many Kenyans, at least where the area I was in at the time or even now, but she was good looking, So this has nothing to do with not finding black women, quote unquote, black women, Kenyan women attractive. No. This is about a dearth of attractive women in Kenya. That's what is being surveyed. And I have a hypothesis as to why you have so many hit bitches over there, bruh. For one, I already went over it. An underdeveloped country, you can't expect too many fine hoes to be there. Off rip, I gotta keep it a beam. There's a lot of things they don't have access to. But here's another thing, right? And this is gonna be kind of a quote unquote eugenics position, but I gotta keep it a beam, bruh. And this is my hypothesis. In an underdeveloped country where they don't have access to a lot of things, if you pay attention just in general to poor areas all across the globe, or even just, it doesn't even have to be everywhere because there will be exceptions, but for the most part, even poor areas in the United States, when you go to these particular areas, right, these sundown towns, you gonna come across some of the ugliest motherfuckers you'd have never seen, right? We talking the hills have eyes looking motherfuckers. In this case, we talking about white people in America. And this applies to anyone, right? But I'm using white people in America for the example. Just to show that for all the niggas, self-hate. No, I'm going to use some white people as an example. You go to some of these areas, you're going to see some of the ugliest motherfuckers in existence. You're going to see some of the most hills have eyes looking motherfuckers in existence. You're going to see some of the most, some of the biggest candidates for scary movies in existence. And one of the reasons isn't just because they're poor, but being poor in that scenario also can lead to you engaging in bad breeding practices. And what that does is that can create generations of ugly motherfuckers. So then what happens is you have a gene pool of chopped motherfuckers, hit motherfuckers. And that is what I believe. And I'm going to do my own research into this more, so I might have another video on that. But I got to keep it real. That is what I believe it could be one of the issues. Because there are indeed attractive Kenyan women. But the lack of supply of Kenyan women, the lack of a surplus in attractive Kenyan women can be explained for, in part for when it comes to their lack of their bad breeding practices. That could be one of the biggest factors, I believe. The bad breeding practices where you're just indiscriminately breeding with anything, and then you create ugly ass motherfuckers. We just got to keep it a bean. I know this is harsh, but this is just how shit is. You look at this image on the screen. I wouldn't hit none of these hoes. I'm going to keep it a bean, bruh. It's not happening, bruh. I can't get up, bruh. It's not going to work. But see, this is the result of bad breeding practices, right? And this is why eugenics is not all the way bad. I know it sounds kind of fucked up, but this is what happens. So when you have an underdeveloped country where people are likely engaging in very bad breeding practices, this is what you can get. This has nothing to do with self-hate. This has nothing to do with you going, oh, you going after the Eurocentric standard. No, we not doing that gaslight, bruh. Y'all niggas gonna stop this shit. And this is the problem I had with SWP's video. You can't sit up here and keep pushing this self-hate narrative when we are visibly looking at ugly bitches. I'm sorry, this sounds fucked up, but we have to keep it a stack. All right? We have to keep it a stack. If there is a lack of supply of attractive women in a particular area, you not about to play in that playground, bro. I'm not going to no sundown town looking for fine hoes. It's not going to happen. Now, you can find pretty women in particular areas like that, right? You can find that, but it's not going to be in the high supply. Like, it's just not. Even in my own personal life. Give an example. A place I used to work at. There was this white girl there, right? She's pretty attractive, right? The more I talk to her, the more I get to know her and shit. I find out she lived in a town in my vicinity. I ain't about to dox myself, but a town in my vicinity, kind of far from the suburbs, where, you know, it's one of them sundown town type of areas that could be seen. You know, the poor whites, the you know, dusty as hell living there. And I've been out in that area, actually, in that vicinity. Very, you know, chopped motherfuckers, bruh. It just is what it is. But she was actually very attractive. So you have people that are attractive in these particular areas, but it's just not going to be in our supply. She was good looking. You know, and, you know, she had a boyfriend and shit. And she was trying to get at me, but I wasn't trying to do all that. I wasn't trying to hit on no woman with a boyfriend. You know, I just, nah. Now, it's funny. Now, I probably would have did it. I ain't gonna hold. But that's besides the point. She looked good, but she came from a town where there's a lot of chopped people, a lot of hit people. It just is what it is. So, like I said, you can find attractive women in these areas. It's just not going to be in a high supply, though, for the reasons I mentioned. Now, off of that stuff, right? I want to focus more so on, once again, the self-hate narrative. Because even besides these women being chopped and hit, whatever you want to say, when it comes to that, Austin Holloman says, oh, these women are beautiful. Okay, cool. Let's go with that, right? Let's say the women are beautiful. Let's say the women are gorgeous. You know, even though some of the women Austin Holloman has presented, I've seen, they don't really look that good, but whatever, let's go with it. They're beautiful. We still can't get around the Brad worship. We still can't get around the altar of white worship that they have erected in Africa, bro. We can't get over that. And why would you tell a group of men who already live in a country where they're seen as the bottom of the caste system to go fly thousands of miles to another country to be the last option? Can any of y'all explain to me how that makes sense and how we can extrapolate they hate themselves for not wanting to go there? Because I need answers, bro. It's not making sense. You know, even if the women are gorgeous, okay, I'll give you all that. They still worship Brad. Ain't nobody trying to be a last option. They want to be the first option. They want to be seen as desirable by the women. They want to be seen as physically attractive. If they worshiping Brad, then what are you wasting your time for over there? You know what I'm saying? So then when you have men who decide to go, you know, because you have Austin Holloman, oh, y'all just want the white looking women. That's why y'all go to Colombia. That's why y'all go. No, nigga. They go to these areas because some of them are on some sex tourism shit, and it's easier to get some box there. But even when some of these dudes do go to these places, now let's not get it twisted. All non-white women on this planet are Brad worshipers for the most part. This is the way the system is set up. The global system is set up. You know, the so-called white man has conquered the whole globe. And all these groups, their brains are fucked up. Their brains are mush. So they have been conditioned and inundated with white worship. The standard of beauty, the Eurocentric standard beauty, as you would say, has been exported all across the globe. And that's just what it is. This is the reality, man. And when you go to South America, they own that same shit, though. See? So here's the thing. Even when these men go to these countries, right, they can find some success there. But at the end of the day, even South America, there is that white worship. And Austin Holloman himself mentioned it. He made videos on it. And that's one of the reasons why he decided to go to Africa. But the problem, Austin, is that they worship Brad over there too. So see, here's the thing. South America, they on some Meho Darasa shit. You go to Africa, they worshiping whiteness, skin bleaching. You go to Asia, we already know Asian women worship whiteness. And this isn't just the women too, this is the men, of course. All non-white men, non-white women, for the most part, their brains are cooked. The main group on this planet that have given the most resistance to white worship out of anyone is Black Americans, so-called FBA. So, but like I said, South America, Meho Darasa. Africa, they Brad worshiping. Asia, they Brad worshiping. The irony, and here's the funny thing. This is when I can't give y'all the self-hate stuff, because like I said, we talking about being seen as desirable, being seen as attractive, at least having your existence and your visage at least accepted in some degree. The irony is, one of the places that these brothers could get the most acceptance at is in Europe. See, certain places in Europe, those women like the brothers, Black American men. They, there's videos of them professing their preference for Black American men, seeing them as their quote unquote first choice. And you have videos, I've seen tons of videos, heard tons of stories of dudes talking about their experiences there. Like Germany, for example. A lot of dudes talk about how German women rock with the brothers whoop-de-whoop. I heard Scandinavia. Now, I don't have no boots to the ground in any of these areas. I am planning on going to Germany soon for a vacation. I'm saving up. I've always wanted to go there. It don't got nothing to do with me going there for women. I've always wanted to go there just for the simple fact. I don't know. I think it's just because I like German cars, right? Mercedes, Audi, some of my favorite cars, right? Car companies. But, I always wanted to go there. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go there, hit on some women, whatever. I don't know. But these are areas, certain countries all throughout Europe where these women actually will, talk about how they like the brothers. They like their skin. They have a thing for darker skinned men. Now, in any of these other countries, like I said, South America, they on some Meho Darasa shit. They is not fucking with no dark skinned niggas. You go to Africa, they bleaching their skin. They worship Brad. You go to Asia, no dark skin. They wearing umbrellas in the sun so they don't get darker, to even avoid getting quote unquote yellow. They not fucking with it. Not to say, like I said, you can find success in these areas, but like I said, the irony is the place where I could see brothers, from judging by the things I've seen and the stories I've heard, the most success you will be able to see some of these brothers get is in Europe, which is just extremely ironic to me. Like it is. This is very ironic, but that's the thing, right? Because where are the videos of African women professing their love for African American men? I'll wait. Where is the mass of videos of Asian women professing their love for Black American men? And I'm talking about specifically in their countries, in their native countries, not videos you will see of women in this country. That doesn't count. I'm talking about in their native countries. Where are the African women professing their love for the FBA man? Where are the videos of Asian women in their native countries professing their love for Black American men like that? Where are the videos of, Hispanic, Latino women in their countries professing any type of attraction to Black American men? Where are they at? Where are they at? But you do have videos, reports, anecdotal stories given by dudes that went there that had success, where they said that, and like I said, the videos of women in Europe saying how they like the brothers. So here's the thing. If a black man is going on to be a passport bro, and he decides to go to Europe, one of the places where women will be receptive to him and he'll have a higher chance of getting with women that will see him as a first choice. Austin Holloman will sit up on a live stream and tell you that you hate yourself. But all they're doing is going to a place where they can at least get some acceptance. Get some women that will see them as a first choice, that will prefer them. But according to Austin Holloman, y'all just worshiping whiteness. Y'all just self-hating. Am I going to act like there's no self-hating Negroes? Of course, I know there's of course there's self-hating Negroes, self-hating black men. Of course. I mean, how can there not be? We live in this world dominated by whiteness. You grow up in America, you're seen as the lowest. That's not even to mention all of the damage that has happened in the black community, which there's that, that colorism within the black community waged against each other. So, of course, you're going to have self-hating black men in the black community. That's going to be a thing, undoubtedly, especially a dark-skinned black man. Of course, that cannot be denied. That cannot be, you can't get around that. Anyone saying that's not the case, you're just being completely disingenuous. But do I think it's to the degree that Austin Holloman will have you believe when it comes to the passport bros and why they're going to the places they're going to? Nah, bruh. I'm not going to give you that. Because like I said, why would you go to Africa with the Brad worshippers? Why? Give me a reason why you would want to go there to be a last option. See, Austin Holloman is trying to convince himself that he's not the last option. That they don't worship Brad. They do. They do. I mean, this is a historical documentation. You can't get around this. You're trying to browbeat these men into going to a country that not only is underdeveloped, has a surplus of chopped women, and then they worship Brad on top of that. Oh, bro, you better get out of our face, bro. You better get out of our face with this self-hate label, bro. It's not gonna fly. You cannot intellectually get around this. No one is flying thousands of miles to get with a 2.5 that worships white men. You done lost your damn mind. You done lost your damn mind, bruh. Y'all gonna have to sit this one out, bro. Y'all gonna have to sit this one out. Y'all gonna have to hold this L. Y'all not gonna be able to push this self-hate label in this instance. I know a lot of you, like Austin Holloman. See, here's the thing with Austin Holloman. Austin Holloman, ever since that stuff went down in Latin America where he was getting picked over, Dusty Brads probably and shit, with they Mejel da Raza shit down there. Ever since that shit's happened, I've noticed dude he's been, I don't know what's been going on with him, bruh, but he's been seeking this acceptance, man. And it's ironic because he's trying to browbeat these other black men for not wanting to go to a place where they won't seek acceptance. See, Austin Holloman has convinced himself that African women, that Kenyan women desire him. But what he doesn't understand, because he is historically ignorant, he does not understand those women worship Brad. He's tried to ignore that, and he has tried to convince himself that, they don't worship Brad. But no, they do. He's tried to convince himself that he's in a place where he's accepted. Austin Holloman does not understand that they don't fuck with him like that. They just don't. And ever since the Latin America stuff went down, man, he's been seeking this acceptance, and that's why he's doing this. That's why he's trying to cape for black women, and he's trying to say, y'all hate yourself. This is a pandering move. He's trying to act like he's sticking up for black women and calling out you self-hating black men, quote unquote self-hating black men, and that y'all don't like black women, and that's why y'all go to Latin America and this and that, and y'all. And he's in the video, in his live stream, he says some shit like, oh, y'all in Eastern Europe, you're risking getting your head knocked off by Eastern European men and all this. Yeah, Eastern Europe, that's definitely a place I would not recommend. You want to tread lightly over there. Got a lot of, there's been stories, brothers over there messing with Eastern European women, and the local men there, very insecure. They crash out, There's other European countries where you'll be safer, right? That's a whole nother video. I've already mentioned like Germany, whatnot, other places, right? Do your research, whoop-de-whoop. But the problem, like I said, Austin Holloman, man, he's seeking this acceptance, man. He's seeking this acceptance. And like I said, it's ironic because he's trying to knock these brothers because they see that there's no acceptance there, really. They see that they are Brad worshipers. They know this. And they would rather go to a place where they can get some acceptance. But see, Austin Holloman would tell you, if you went to a country where you do get acceptance, that, oh, that's because you just like the women because they not quote unquote black. No, nigga, we not, like I said, you not getting around this, bruh. And then even when Austin Holloman decided to talk about how, oh, y'all only go after the women in Ethiopia and this and that because they, I guess, are more mixed, this and that. Like, no, bro, we're not doing this, bro. Like I said, we are not doing this. We are not going to allow you to do this. Here, like, and he mentioned that and then said, oh, you know, you will hear them talking about sub-Saharan Africa, whoop-de-whoop. Like I already said, underdeveloped areas, you know, the dearth of attractive women due to the factors I've mentioned already. I don't see why you would expect them to go to, just in general, an undeveloped country. Now, we can make a case for South Africa. You know, I will agree with SWP on that. I haven't really looked too much into South Africa. I don't know how the women are looking there. I mean, here, I was looking at some pictures earlier of some African women. They might have been from South Africa. I didn't even click on the shit, but they were attractive, good-looking women. There's good, this, like I said, once again, no one's denying there's attractive African women. That is not the problem here, Austin Holloman. The problem is those women, by and large, are Brad worshipers, and nobody wants to go fish in a pond of Brad worshipers, and that is the issue we're having. So when you're critiquing even the men going after, you know, the Ethiopian women and this and that, those women over there, I actually don't know how too much Brad worshipers they are, because normally when I see a lot of these Brad worshipers, they are in the sub-Saharan African regions and others like that. But those women and those brothers that like those women, you can make a case it could be some self-hate there, but at the same time, there are still more attractive women from what I've seen in those particular areas. Ethiopia is more developed. I mean, there's just more reasons for them to have a better aesthetic that has nothing to do with you being quote unquote self-hating. So once again, that's an L you're gonna have to hold, because I don't think, like I said, that it is that, you know, this notion that these men are just so, you know, turned off by these African women. I just think it's false, man. I mean, there's a lot of other factors as to why no one would want to go over to Africa in the first place, man. Underdeveloped, and there's a lot of issues. Let's not even get on, you know, the whole must thing, right? Austin Holloman was on his stream trying to tell us that there's not a must problem for real. But, dog, these Africans, when they come to America, they still musty, dog. They are in a first world country, still musty. So you trying to tell us they not musty in a third world country? Once again, get out of my face, my nigga. Bro, I have firsthand experience with this must, right? This shit has affected me personally, man. I'll never forget it. Yo, I grew up, as I've mentioned in past videos, I grew up in the suburbs. You know, I live in a good white, you know, a good white community, whatever, right? Nigerian family, bruh, lives in the same neighborhood, right? I have a Nigerian friend. Okay, I almost said something I shouldn't have said. Kind of almost doxed myself. I ain't gonna talk about. I was about to say something about his occupation, but I have a Nigerian friend. You know, he's doing very, very good for himself right now, and that's what's up. But see, when I go to his house, right? When I go to his house, the must is unbelievable, bruh. The must is unbelievable. When you walk through the door, like, you get hit with this waft of must that I cannot describe to this day. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like you walk in the house and your whole chest just caves in, because it's like the must punches the air out of your lungs, bruh, and fills them with must. And they're in a first world country, still musty. So Austin Holloman wants us to believe there is no must problems over there like that in a third world country. Bro, get out my face, bro. Like I said, get out my face with this self-hate label. We're calling out real issues that he's trying to ignore. He's trying to give passes to. And bro, like you can't do that, bro. You have to keep it a bean, right? He's trying to give these passes to these women because he wants to believe that they really accept him like he think, but they don't. And that's the problem, is that he's giving these passes that he wouldn't really give to anybody else. I don't really think he wouldn't give this level of passes to any other group of women, but he wants to give these passes to these Kenyan women because he wants to believe this is the place where he can actually be accepted. And like, bruh, nah, bro. Like, you're trying to excuse must. You're trying to excuse Brad worship. You trying to excuse a dearth of attractive women. Bruh, that's not, no. We see clear as day what this is. And to put the self-hate label on these men is completely disingenuous, bruh. And that's my problem with some of the commentary I'm seeing on this. Like I said with SWP, Sergeant Willie Pete, it's like, dude, we're not gonna act like these things aren't an issue. And to me, mainly the Brad worship is the biggest thing. You're not trying to fly thousands of miles to be a last option. No one's trying to do that. So at the end of the day, I don't see how you can try to tell these men that they're self-hating. That's my only problem. If Austin Holloman didn't try to put this self-hating label, then I wouldn't even be talking about this, bruh. But I'm not about to let him come out here and just push this narrative, because it's the same old tired narrative that's pushed by a lot of these black women that, in these spaces. And it's like, a lot of the times when you really find out what these women look like, it's like you're hella hit, overweight. This thing got nothing to do with colorism. You're just chopped. You don't take care of yourself, at least, even if they not, ugly. Like they don't take care of themselves. They don't take care of their appearance, which would cause them to be ugly, right? And since they don't do these things, they didn't want to latch on to the colorism. I'm like, no, that's not what it is in some of the cases. But yeah, man. Like I said, man, I'm not about to sit up here and criticize any men that decide, hey, places like Europe or whatever would be a better option than Africa. And it has nothing to do with self-hate. It has everything to do with at least wanting to be desired in some way, shape, or form, and not being seen as a last option, and letting, any dusty Brad walk through and they just kneeling before Zod. Like, nobody got time for that shit. Nobody, especially when they beat on top of it. Nah, bruh. It's not a good look. And it's not a good position to push that y'all hate yourselves because y'all don't want to deal with all the things that I've mentioned in this video. This is completely absurd. But yeah, I had something else I wanted to say. I kind of lost my train of thought there. I probably will make a part 2 because there's something else I want to delve into more so as well. I'm probably going to focus more on the self-hate label, just more so, just a magnifying glass on that, and maybe a part 2. But, I've touched on in this video, obviously, but, there's more I definitely want to address when it comes to some of the hypocrisy of a lot of these black women, right? It's just extreme hypocrisy you see from them. And, oh, you know what? Before I end this video, I do want to address this last point. I just remembered. A lot of the reasons I think some of these black women get online and they try to browbeat these men to accept, hit women is because, they don't really believe you niggas deserve attractive women. They don't believe you niggas deserve submission or cooperation, I should say. They don't believe you deserve these things. See, what they want is for y'all to suffer. because they believe that you are a slave, black man. They believe that you ain't shit. And because they believe you ain't shit, you don't deserve shit. So by browbeating y'all to go and get with 2.5 Kenyan women, this is a way for them to put y'all in y'all place. This is where you will be relegated, messing with musty, ugly women. And they don't want y'all to aspire to get with more attractive women. Because if y'all was going over there, even if y'all was getting with really attractive Kenyan women, for the women that are there, that are really attractive, I'm telling you, these black women have an issue with it because they don't believe y'all deserve attractive women, bro. I'm trying to tell you, y'all don't want to believe this. This is some black pill stuff, but they do not believe you niggas deserve shit. So they want to browbeat you to get with unattractive women. So not only they can lower the standard of attraction and what's acceptable for niggas in the States, but also so that even when you go abroad, you are relegated to unattractive women. And they have browbeat you into finding these women attractive. They have browbeat Austin Holloman into finding 2.5 musty women attractive. This is the level of psychological warfare they have waged against you niggas. And for some of y'all, they have won. Austin Holloman, they have won, my nigga. Whether you want to believe it or not, you have been defeated. Kid Greatness, another goofy, they have won. Right. And here's another thing too. One more thing. A dude from Detroit recently went to Kenya. He got with a Kenyan woman. He had a kid with her. She was beat 2.5 in looks, bruh. But hey, that's him. He accepted that. As soon as they got back to this country, that woman left that man with the baby and found an old decrepit white man. So once again on the Brad worship piece, he went to Kenya, got a Kenyan woman. Once she got here, immediately went into Brad worship mode. Right? Immediately went into Brad worship mode. So why would you want to get with a group of women that are engaging in that type of behavior? You know, a 2.5 in looks, bro, without makeup is what she was. I know some of y'all watching might have already seen it. Tito showed it on his channel. 2.5 in looks, bro. When she had put on makeup, she only got 0.5 upgrade. I'm not giving her a full point, bro. She got a 0.5 increase. Hella beat. And that is what these women have browbeat y'all into accepting. But see, y'all don't see nothing wrong with it, bro. That's cool, though. That's cool. I hope one day y'all get y'all shit together and y'all mind right, you know. But if that's what y'all rocking with, I ain't about to police y'all on nothing. See, this is not really what this is about. My whole problem is the self-hate label y'all trying to place on these men. Just because you don't see the Brad worship don't mean we don't see it, bruh. And get out of our face with that bullshit. But that's all I got to say for this video, man. I'm out.